1995, Game 5 of the playoff series between the Yankees and Mariners. With a single swing, Edgar Martinez turns a one-run New York lead into a Seattle victory celebration. It was and remains the greatest moment in franchise history. Now, 5 years later, the Mariners feature some different faces, and they're a team trying to write an even greater postseason story. Early in this league championship series, they seemed well on their way. In Game 1, a dazzling performance by the Seattle pitching staff stifled the Yankees en route to a 2-0 shutout. Game 2 opened with more of the same. The Mariners, in fact, were 6 outs away from a 2-game lead. And then it all fell apart. After a 16-inning scoreless drought, a torrent of Yankee offense. They scored 7 times in the bottom of the 8th and won 7-1 to square the series, heading for Seattle. Was that the moment when the Yankees reversed the series momentum? When a slumbering giant awoke? Or was it the last gasp of a once great team now past its championship peak? Some of the answers await in Game 3, next.
This is the Sun America NBC pregame show. The 2000 American League Championship Series. Tonight, Game 3, the New York Yankees versus the Seattle Mariners.
A damp 53 degrees by Puget Sound, but the roof at brand new Safeco Field is closed. We'll have no problem playing baseball. In contrast to the monstrosity that was the Kingdome, a pitcher's nightmare with its artificial turf and bandbox dimensions, this place is not only beautiful, but it favors the pitchers, who tonight happen to be 17-game winner Aaron Seeley for Seattle and the 19-game winning lefty Andy Pettitte for New York. Welcome to Game 3, everybody. With Joe Morgan, I'm Bob Costas. Perhaps because of their new surroundings, the Mariners in large part retailored their team for the 2000 season, and that new approach served them very well through almost 5 games in the playoffs until Game 2 and the bottom of the 8th.
Bob, they had to change their approach completely from the Kingdome, where they had set a single-season home run record, to the Safeco Field, where they have become a pitching and defense-oriented team. They have good starters, they have a great closer, and they're a team that does not score a lot of runs. In fact, they've only scored 5 runs in their last 3 ball games, including the clincher against the Chicago White Sox. Yet they've won 2 of 3. And in the 3rd game, they led until the 7th inning of the game against the Yankees, when David Justice hit this double off the usually reliable Arthur Rhodes. This started the downfall of the Mariners. They were not able to make a couple of plays that they normally make very easily, and this contributed to the Yankees scoring 7 runs, and it was capped off by this 2-run homer by Derek Jeter. It was only the Yankees' 2nd home run in 12 ball games.
So Seattle's bullpen, which had hurled 15 consecutive scoreless innings in the postseason, was finally lit up in that 7-run 8th inning in Game 2 at Yankee Stadium. So instead of taking a 2-0 lead back home, the series is now even, raising the possibility that this series goes the limit. And if it does, tonight's starters would have the ball again in Game 7 at Yankee Stadium. Aaron Seeley was an all-star this year. Joe Torre picked him for the American League squad. That's about the only time Seeley has had fond memories of Torre, because in the postseason as a member of the Texas Rangers, he was twice beaten by the Yankees in the division series in both 98 and 99, and he was 0-1 against them this year. As for Andy Pettitte,
well, they chose Pettitte because he figures he's a big game pitcher. This is by design that he's going to 3rd game. He moved in front of Roger Clemens so he could pitch Game 7. Torre has a lot of confidence in Pettitte, and he has pitched very well against the Mariners.
And here is Pettitte's manager with Jimmy Roberts.
Well, Safeco Field, the single most difficult park in all of the American League in which to score runs. Joe Torre, who does that benefit, your team or theirs? They struggled offensively as well this series so far.
Well, considering, Jimmy, that, you know, when I'm comfortable with my pitching, I feel more comfortable with our team. So, you know, if that translates into our advantage, I'll take it. But, of course, you're still on the road wearing the gray uniform.
Momentum does mean something. You told us that before. Do you feel like the momentum may have shifted at this point because of that 8th inning and the burden being lifted?
Well, hopefully. I'd like to believe yesterday's off day was a lot more relaxing because we won a game and the way we did. And I felt that the 8th inning was very pivotal, not only the fact that we scored 7 runs, but the fact that the hits that we did get were mainly to the opposite field. And that's pretty much what we do when we're successful.
Can a performance like the Yankees had in the 8th inning translate into actual performance?
Well, I'd like to believe that. I think momentum shifts in short series very quickly, and you never want to let it go. I know I've spoken to this a number of times. When you have a 3-1 lead or a 2-0 lead, they say, well, you know, all you have to do is win such and such and such and such. But that all of a sudden you lose a ball game, and I think it just turns it right over on your side, because there's nothing better than being a winning team yesterday. All
right, Joe Torre, thanks very much. Let's go back over to Jim Gray, who's in the other dugout.
Well, just 5 runs in the past 33 innings, Jimmy. Lou Piniella, does that concern you?
Well, we need to score more runs. I thought the biggest key for our ball club coming into this series was to put some runs on the board, and we're going to need to score more.
Now, you had said in our meeting before that whoever wins this game is going to have a nice edge in this series. Are you telling that to your team, and does that put you guys backs to the wall?
No, it doesn't. We're at home for these next 3 games. We need to win 2 out of 3 here. That's our objective. I'm sure the Yankees feel otherwise. But if we can do that, we can get this thing back to New York and win it over there, hopefully. But this game's a big one for both teams.
All right, Lou. Best of luck tonight.
Thank you.
All right, Bob. That's the story from down here in the Mariners dugout. Back upstairs to you.
All right, Jim, thanks a lot. We'll take a look around Safeco Field. We'll have the starting lineups and the first pitch after these messages and a word from your local station.
This has been the Sun America NBC pregame show. Sun America, the retirement specialist.
First League Championship Series game ever played at new Safeco Field. Let's become more familiar with the situation here as we check in with Jimmy Roberts. Jimmy.
Bob, how are you? And they've got open-air baseball here in Seattle, and they did it not by moving mountains, but by moving the roof. The roof here at Safeco obviously opens and closes. That's been a big story all year long. Now, on a clear day, you can see not only downtown Seattle, which is just about a mile over my shoulder, but they tell me also the Puget Sound and the Olympic Mountain Range. But on days when there's inclement weather, as there was today and perhaps threatens to be tonight, they close the roof. How do they do it? Well, they do it by activating all 96 of these. They are hydraulic motors. They're only 10 horsepower each, but they move the roof on a track. The roof weighs 22 tons. It's made of steel and Teflon. How does this ballpark react when the roof is closed? Well, it all depends on who you ask. But one thing we do know, the roof has only been closed on 10 occasions this year. The last time, September 10th. Who was the winning pitcher? Aaron Seeley. He gave up just 1 earned run and struck out 10, beating Texas. Bob?
Jimmy, thanks very much. Lou Piniella, who ought to be as expert on this subject as anyone, feels that the ball actually carries a bit better with the roof closed as opposed to it being open. Generally speaking, as we look around Safeco Field, the ball carries all right to straightaway left and right, but it tends to die in the gaps and to straightaway center field. Now let's take a look at the MasterCard starting lineup for the Yankees. It's exactly the same as for Game 2. Paul O'Neill has had his share of success against Aaron Seeley. One of those 2 home runs came in the division series a couple of years ago, a game in Texas.
And let's take a look at the defense behind Aaron Seeley. We know that Seattle made 2 errors in Game 2, but we also saw a couple of misplays that were scored as base hits. But this is a good Mariner defense, and they will have to be good tonight. And I expect Seeley to try to keep the ball down, try to get a few ground balls, so the infield becomes more important than normal.
Aaron Seeley is 30 years old. He's 6'5" and 215. Former Red Sox and Ranger. His 17 victories this year included 2 shutouts. His earned run average was about a run better at home than on the road. He had 1 decision against the Yankees and lost it. His career postseason record is 0-2. Each of the defeats, a division series loss to the Yankees, one in '98 and another in '99. He had a very strong no decision in Game 3 of this year's division series against the White Sox. He allowed only 1 run. The Mariners eventually won it in the bottom of the 9th, so he has pitched well of late. In fact, he was 4-0 in the season's last month, and the Mariners won all 6 of the last half-dozen starts he made down the stretch.
And let's take a look at the scouting report for Aaron Seeley. He has a great curveball, but the key to his success tonight will be whether he can control his fastball, move it in and out. Because the Yankees have 5 left-handed hitters in the lineup, he's going to have to stay ahead of them, but he was their best pitcher in September. And here's a guy that if he can throw the fastball and get ahead, his curveball will be more important because they will chase it out of the strike zone.
He throws that classic over-the-top curve. If you think of it, as scouts sometimes do, like the face of a clock, it's a 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock curveball. It's one of the major league's best.
And that's difficult for the umpires to be able to decide exactly when the ball comes down in the strike zone.
Chuck Knobloch has had a pair of hits in each of the first 2 games. One-time Gold Glove Award winner whose defensive problems have relegated him to DH duties and left Luis Sojo, the veteran, as the starting second baseman. First pitch is a ball. The plate umpire is Wally Bell. Fastball for a strike. Mark Hirschbeck calls the plays at first. Jerry Davis at second. Fielding Culbreth has replaced Randy Marsh, who's out with a broken bone in his left arm. He's at third base. Culbreth. On the right field line, Angel Hernandez. Left field line, John Hirschbeck. 1-2.
And you'll see the Yankees swinging a lot earlier in the count than they normally do because they do not want to get behind a guy like Seeley who has the great curveball. They will try to pick out the fastball and hit it.
And his 1-2 pitch. Breaking ball down and away.
That's a good curveball. Normally you get a hitter to chase that. That's a good eye there by Knobloch not to swing at that.
Full count now. And the payoff pitch from Seeley to Knobloch is taken for strike 3, and he is literally hopping mad.
It actually looks like a perfect pitch, but we'll see. It looked like a perfect pitch. Watch the target. Right there. He doesn't move the glove at all. That tells you that the catcher knows it's over the corner because the catcher will usually pull it back in. Right on the corner. Nice pitch. Excellent pitch, especially with a count of 3-2. Knobloch was expecting a better pitch to hit than that.
Knobloch left to mutter to himself as Jeter steps in. 2 for 7 in the series, including the 8th inning opposite field home run in Game 2 at Yankee Stadium. This one is sliced down the right field line, and he dumps it in there for a hit. Buhner gets it back in. Jeter with a 1-out single.
That's why Jeter had 200 hits. He will use the entire field. He'll use the entire bat. He'll hit some off the end of the bat. He hits some off the handle, but he stays right on the ball. Right there, he just fights that fastball off inside, and he pushes it down the right field line.
Which brings up Justice, who started the 7-run outburst in the 8th, day before yesterday, with an opposite field double that nearly cleared the fence.
One of the things I expect the Yankees to do today is to put more runners in motion to try to offset the great curveball that Seeley has. That'll force him to have to throw more fastballs.
And a long drive to right. It's got home run distance, but it's foul.
But David Justice is sitting on a first pitch fastball, and he's going to try to hit the hole. And he just gets out in front just enough that it hooks foul. But you will see the Yankees will swing a lot earlier in the count than they normally do. They're not going to take a lot of fastballs for strikes.
Jeter held by Olerud at first. Derek had 22 steals this year and was thrown out only 4 times. Olerud backhands it. Goes to Rodriguez for 1 and to first. The 3-6-3 double play. Very difficult to turn. The Mariners did it neatly, and they're out.
Left-handed first baseman, because all of his throws will be to the inside of the diamond. And watch this play by Olerud. He takes the tough hop. Now it's an easy throw for him. If you're right-handed, you have to whirl around. And now he gets back to first base, and he makes this play as well as anyone. And here's Derek Jeter going into his good buddy A-Rod at second base, and A-Rod says something. He kind of points at him, then throws a little dirt on him. Chad Curtis would be proud of that, wouldn't he?
A tough play and the way you have to make it. Obviously no hard feelings. They both understand that's the way the game has to be played. A number of Mariners have had a fair share of success against Andy Pettitte. Rodriguez not so much with the batting average, but 5 of his 8 career hits against Pettitte have gone for the distance.
And here's the defense. Pettitte helps his defense by picking off a lot of runners. You see he has 54 pickoffs in 6 seasons. So I expect that to slow the Mariners running game down to a crawl.
Here's Ricky Henderson, who reports that the ankle he slightly sprained in game 1 is giving him no trouble at this point. 8 for 21 in his career against Andy Pettitte. A broken bat roll to Soho. And Henderson is gone.
It's a good cut fastball from Andy Pettitte. He's a different pitcher now. He used to just throw a lot of cut fastballs to right-handed hitters. But he started Ricky off with a fastball away, and there's the cutter inside. And he has to get out of the way of the bat. Routine play for Luis Soho at second base. In the past, right-handers could just sit there and look for the slider or the cut fastball inside from Andy Pettitte, but now he runs the fastball away, throws the changeup away, and he uses the cutter as well. So I think he's a much better pitcher now than he was before because he uses both sides of the plate.
Pettitte split 2 decisions against Seattle this year, but that's in the loss. He had a no-hitter through 6. So he's pitched well against the Mariners. Strike 1 to Mike Cameron. Cameron's 0 for 7, and he struck out 4 times through the first 2 games. As a team, the Mariners have only 12 hits and 3 runs in the first 2 games, and no Mariner has more than 2 hits individually. Fouled away, 0-2.
And let's take a look at the scouting report on Andy Pettitte. They say he uses both sides of the plate against right-handers. He has a great pickoff move which stops the running game, and he is a big game pitcher, and that's why Torrey wants him to go game 7 if there is a game 7.
Bouncing ball behind third, backhanded by Brocious. The throw from foul territory. He really had no chance. Cameron runs well, an infield hit.
Once the ball took a big hop and Brocious had to backhand it, there was no chance. Watch this second hop. It's a big hop right there. Now watch this one. Brocious has no chance. He has to make sure he catches it first. Now from foul territory, you're never going to be able to throw Mike Cameron out. I mean, he won't even be close at first base. Well, he got on the box well, and he has an infield hit. He's a key factor for the Mariners because I'm sure that he's going to be able to control Ricky Henderson, meaning Andy Pettitte.
So Cameron's aboard with his first hit of the series. He stole 24 bases for the year. Ball 1 to A-Rod. Let's go down to Jim Gray.
All right, Bob, at the end of the first inning there, A-Rod turned around and asked Jeter, are you okay on that double play? Jeter nodded back and said, yes, you. And Alex Rodriguez said, yeah, I'm okay. Threw a little dirt at him. Now he's up at the plate. Nice little byplay between the two, Bob.
All right, Jim. Rodriguez 2 for 7 in the series, including a Game-1 homer at Yankee Stadium. Pettitte with the good move. Cameron gets back. Andy Pettitte was terrific in Game 2 of the division series at Oakland, pitching on his usual 4 days rest. He came back on 3 days rest in Game 5 and could last only 3 2/3. 2-0. The Yankees had staked him to a 6-0 lead. He couldn't hold on for the win. The bullpen was able to do it as the Yankees won 7-5 and advanced to face Seattle. If there is a Game 7, Pettitte would pitch it. This coming Wednesday night at Yankee Stadium on his full 4 days rest. The 2-0 pitch. Hit right back at Pettitte and through. Cameron rounds second, but he'll stop there as Williams guns it back in. Consecutive singles with 1 out in the first.
Good hitting there by Cameron and by Alex Rodriguez. Rodriguez goes right back through the middle. See, this pitch is away. He just reaches out and drives it back through the middle. I actually thought Cameron was going to go to third base, and he had a good shot at it, but he decided to hold up at second base. This is the sinking fastball away, not the cutter. Posada set up on the outside part of the plate, and he hits it back through the middle, and you see little reaction time for the pitcher when a ball is hit sharply like that.
This Mariner lineup is soft in some places, so generally the Yankees want to try to pitch around the 3 and 4 hitters, Rodriguez and Martinez. With Cameron reaching, Pettitte couldn't do it with A-Rod, and now he can't do it with Martinez. First and second, 1 out. Martinez is 10 for 28 lifetime against Pettitte with a pair of home runs. He hit .324 this year and led the league with 145 RBIs. That one's in there.
That's a curveball that he likes to throw on occasion. Now, he doesn't throw a lot of them, but this is a good curveball. He has a good curveball that he uses against some right-handed hitters, but he doesn't throw a lot of curveballs.
Pettitte, who was 19-9 this year, has his sign from Posada. His 1-1 pitch is ripped to left for a base hit. Cameron being waved home by Larry Bowa, the third base coach. Well ahead of Justice's throw, which is cut off by Brocious, and Seattle jumps in front.
And Bob, as you mentioned, the big hit in this inning was Cameron getting aboard because they didn't have any place to put A-Rod and Martinez. So he tries to come after him. He threw him a breaking ball. He tried to get up and in with a fastball, which I think is the way to pitch Edgar, but Edgar just rips it to left field for a base hit. And Justice doesn't have a chance to throw Cameron out, and he scores easily. I'm not sure a left-hander can get up and in on Edgar, but that's the way you like to pitch him, with the fastball.
Now Posada out to talk with Pettitte. You remember, Joe, that in that division series, that spectacularly exciting 5-game set in 1995 between these teams, Edgar Martinez just destroyed the Yankees. He had 12 hits and 6 walks. He hit .571 and had 10 RBIs in the 5 games, including the double that sent home 2 runs in the bottom of the 11th, turning the 1-run deficit into a Mariner victory. He had been just 1 for 7 as they worked carefully to him in the first 2 games at Yankee Stadium, but with 2 men on, Pettitte had to come to him, and Edgar made him pay.
Interesting thing just happened, Bob. Posada went out and talked to Pettitte. Then after he left, Soho and Jeter came in. What they're doing is changing the signs. They felt like maybe Cameron was giving signs to Edgar Martinez.
And the pitch to Buhner is in there. The 0-1 pitch. Fouled off 0-2. Rodriguez at second, Martinez at first. A run home in the bottom of the first. 1-0 Seattle. Pettit with that penetrating gaze as he gets his sign. Ahead on the count 0-2. And a roller to the right side. Tino Martinez will take it himself as the runners move up. Second and third, 2 down.
It's a good pitch by Pettit, but he jams him, and he's not able to hit it hard enough so they can try for a double play. You'll see Posada set up on the inside right there, and he gets it inside. He jams Buhner, and he just pushes it down the first baseline. Not much on it, so there's no chance for Tino Martinez to do anything but take Buhner at first base. But now it puts 2 runners in scoring position for John Olerud,
who is the only left-handed bat in Lou Piniella's lineup tonight. He knocked home 103 for the season. Strike one. So much was made, and understandably so, of the Mariners' loss of Ken Griffey Jr. Overlooked was what they added, including Olerud as a free agent, Mike Cameron in the deal that sent Griffey to Cincinnati. They signed Aaron Seeley to lead their starting staff, and Sasaki out of Japan as a first-rate closer. A ball and a strike. Terrific job done by their GM, Pat Gillett.
You're right. They just retooled the entire offense, and they made their pitching so much better. The ballpark helped, but they also added some good arms.
The 1-1 offering. He checks his swing, but it's in there. The home runs are down, but the overall run production pretty much the same. In fact, a slight increase without Griffey, which is no knock on Junior.
No. I don't think anyone feels that they're a better team without Junior. They just added some other parts, and now they're a very good team.
The question for the offseason, does Rodriguez go the way of Randy Johnson and Griffey? That would be devastating for this franchise. Olerud got a little piece of it, and it remains 1-2.
And you can see right now that Pettit was trying, when he throws the fastball, it's going to be in tight on Olerud. He took the first 2 fastballs in, and he's going to stay in tight with the fastball. See where Posada set up, fastball in. And when he throws the cut fastball or the slider, he's setting that up by using the fastball in.
Rodriguez away from third. Martinez leads from second. The 1-2 pitch is popped towards short, and Jeter's got it. 3 singles produce a run, but the Mariners strand 2. They lead it 1-0 after 1 at Safeco. Bernie Williams, Tino Martinez, and Jorge Posada for the Yankees in the second. Game 4 tomorrow night. Nighttime in much of the country, late afternoon in Seattle. Sends Paul Abbott, who was 9-7 this year, to the mound for the Mariners against Roger Clemens, who went 13-8. And appeared to be the Yankees' best starting pitcher the last couple of months of the year, and then was hit hard in the division series and moved down in the rotation. It appears that tomorrow will be the only start of this series for Clemens.
We saw how Freddie Garcia pitched the middle of this order. You get a look at Roger Clemens. And Seeley's going to try to do the same thing. You're going to try to throw a lot of breaking balls to Bernie Williams, change-ups to Justice, and use the fastball against O'Neill. That's exactly how Freddie Garcia did it in the first game, was very successful. That's probably their scouting report.
Seeley falls behind Williams 3-0 to start the second. Freddie Garcia may not be used to chilly temperatures of any kind, hailing from Venezuela, but looking at him, you might be misled as to just how cold it is. It's a little brisk, but it's not that chilly. Williams swings on the 3-0 pitch and drives it to deep right, way back, and this one has tied the game. Torrey green lights him on 3-0, and Williams hammers it.
Very unusual to see a guy swing 3-0 leading off an inning, but that tells you how much respect Torrey has for Seeley's curveball. He wants his hitters to be able to pick out the fastball and do something with it, and that's exactly what Bernie Williams does here. So he gets a fastball and he drills it, and sometimes a pitcher just tries to throw a strike 3-0 and he doesn't really give you his good fastball. He was trying to throw it in the middle of the plate rather than in or out. And Jay Buhner goes back, but he doesn't have a chance.
Tied at 1 and ball 1 high and away to Martinez.
That also puts something into Seeley's mind in that he knows that he can't fall behind too often because Torrey's going to turn his hitters loose. So he's going to have to be more, he's going to throw more strikes early in the count.
Flirting with danger again, he falls behind Tino 2-0. This is Martinez's 10th year in the majors. Exactly half of it as a Mariner and half as a Yankee. The fan was finally goaded into returning the Yankee home run ball to the field, and there's Cameron tossing it out of play.
I think if I came to a game, I'd have to put one in my pocket that I bought at the store and throw that one back. I don't think I would throw a major league ball back that was hit for a home run.
Strike 1 to Martinez. Few people are that well prepared to pack a baseball just in case. This ball is hit well to center. Cameron turns in pursuit, back to the track, to the wall, out of here. And Cameron's almost out of here too. Back-to-back home runs and a 2-1 Yankee lead.
And a good job by Tino and a good job by Bernie Williams picking the fastball out and drilling it. And he said this was a big ballpark. The Yankees are making it look small. That was a drilled into almost the deepest part of the ballpark. Another fastball right out over the plate, middle of the plate, and Tino Martinez hits it. Cameron thought he had a chance about here. Then he realized, I'm running out of real estate. And you're right, he almost went with the baseball.
Nobody, unless it's Jim Edmonds in St. Louis, makes spectacular outfield plays like Ken Griffey Jr. So I'm not trying to say he was replaced in any sense by Cameron, but Cameron will make his fair share of leaping catches like that. That one just beyond his reach. Posada swings on the first one and fouls it back.
That's why we said in the scouting report it's important for Seeley to use his fastball and get ahead in the count rather than fall behind when they can set just dead red. And they were sitting on those two fastballs and drilled them.
A ball and a strike to Posada. Watch Cameron's effort again from a different angle. You can't give it much more than that. The ball was gone, and he very nearly was as well. And the 1-1 pitch is inside. In their first 235 at-bats of this postseason, the Yankees hit 2 home runs. 2 home runs in this inning, back-to-back. First 2 hitters of the second. And Posada steps out. Tino Martinez had been struggling at the end of the regular season, first few games of the division series. Got the bases loaded double and 3 RBIs in the first inning of Game 5 at Oakland. He's now 5 for 9 in this series against Seattle. Check swing foul, 2-2.
And that's what you will see from Seeley from now on. He will throw breaking balls when he gets behind in the count to try to keep these hitters off balance.
Fastball got him.
Smart pitching right there. So he will throw the fastball when he's ahead in the counter. They're not looking for it. But when they're looking for fastball, he's going to have to throw the breaking ball. Look at the target. Perfect pitch right on the inside corner. He's made some perfect pitches with his fastball. Another one there is he got Knobloch looking, and now he gets Posada.
Now O'Neill still looking for his first hit in this series, 0 for 6, though he did have an 8th inning sacrifice fly in Game 2 in the Bronx. Up high.
And if you're the Mariners, you're lucky this happened with this early in the ball game and with the bases empty each time, because that lets Seeley know that he's not going to be able to get these Yankees out with his fastball. He's going to have to use his curveball, and he's going to have to make sure he focuses on throwing it for a strike.
He's fallen behind again. Here's the 2-0 to O'Neill. He waits on it, hits it the other way, but backing up is Bell to make the catch. O'Neill can't get on track, and you can see his frustration.
I'm surprised that he would swing at a pitch like this. It's 2 balls and no strikes, and it's an off-speed curveball that's not even a strike, and he swung at it late. That's not normally the way Paul O'Neill approaches a 2-0 pitch.
Soho swings on the first one, bounces it to his counterpart at second base, McLemore. So Seeley retires 3 straight after the back-to-back homers by Williams and Martinez. 2-1 New York. Bottom of the order in the bottom of the second, Bell, Oliver, and McLemore for Seattle. Ball 1 low from Pettit. At age 28, this is Andy Pettit's 6th year in the major leagues and 6th trip to the postseason. This is his 17th playoff or World Series start. In there for a strike. He's got a record of 7-4 overall, 3-2 in the division series, 2-1 in both the LCS and the World Series. Despite all that success, he was on the trading block barely a year ago. They almost traded him to Philadelphia. Lined hard by Bell to left for a leadoff hit. The 4th hit in an inning plus against Pettit.
Well, that was a cut fastball. He wanted to get in, but not only did he not get it in, he got it down. He's been, because see where the target is supposed to be up. But look at that, it's down and out over the plate, and Bell rips it to left field for a base hit. The cut fastball is more effective when it's up around the waist.
Here's Joe Oliver. That he would start tonight was a no-brainer for Lou Piniella. He's 6 for 17 with a homer in his career against Pettit, who starts him with strike 1. Meanwhile, Dan Wilson has never been able to get anything done in the playoffs. An otherwise good player. Wilson is 2 for 52 in his career as a postseason hitter. And Piniella likes the way Oliver handles the pitching staff a little bit better than what he sees from Wilson. Pettit's 0-1 pitch. Bounces in front of the plate. Posada with a nice job of blocking it.
We saw Joe Oliver do a lot of this in Game 1, blocking pitches and keeping it in front of him. And there you see Posada does the same. In fact, we probably did not give Joe Oliver enough credit in the first game for the way that he handled Freddie Garcia. They worked very well together.
Skipping back is Bell.
Let's take a look at his move to first base. See, once his foot goes behind the rubber like that, he has to throw to first base. But it's a very fine line there. But if his foot goes behind the rubber, he has to go to the plate.
Another base hit. The 5th single of the game for Seattle. Pettit has faced 8 hitters 5 of them have singled.
And this is another cut fastball inside, but he's not getting it in enough, or he doesn't have enough movement on it, because the right-handers are getting it out on the meat part of the bat and not on the handle where he's trying to put it. But I want to clarify something. I said if his foot goes behind the rubber, he has to go to the plate. That's what I meant. But if he just lifts it, he can go to first base. But once his foot goes behind the rubber, he has to go to first base, to the plate.
And now here's McLemore, the switch-hitting second baseman.
And we'll see if Lou continues to play small ball as he did most of the season.
He looks to bunt, pulls back, takes a strike. Here's some evidence of their approach this year. In addition to the good defense and improved pitching, which you see by the bottom 2 numbers, the bunts, the walks, the sac flies, the steals, all indicative of a different approach in the absence of Ken Griffey Jr. They still get plenty of pop from Rodriguez and Martinez, but elsewhere in the lineup, they're willing to play for 1 or 2 runs. He squares again, pulls back, and takes a ball.
Well, what you do in situations like this is you make sure that you use all of your outs. You make sure that you're going to get the runners over to second and third without hitting a ground ball to shortstop or second, and they turn it into a double play. So if you move them over, you almost assure yourself of getting 1 run.
Brocious and Martinez creeping in. And he takes strike 2. So he's squared 3 times, but hasn't attempted to bunt.
Well, that was a good pitch from Pettit because it was running away, and what he wants to do is bunt the ball down the third baseline, and that pitch is the outside corner, so how is he going to get it down the third baseline? And that's why he took it. You need to force the third baseman to field this ball. You can see that pitch is away, so McLemore took it.
They've moved back at the corners, thinking Piniella won't keep the bunt on with 2 strikes. 2-2. Pettit gave up 10 hits in just 3 2/3 in his last start in Game 5 against Oakland. 5 hits already in an inning plus here in Seattle. And his 2-2 to McLemore. He's going to bunt this time, and he gets it down. Posada's only play will be to first, and they get him there.
Great job. Great job by McLemore. What happens with 2 strikes and everyone moves back, it's much easier just to put the ball in play. He didn't have to bunt on the third baseline and make the third baseman field it. No one's expecting it, so he's just going to bunt it out in front of the plate, and that's a great job by McLemore. Just put it out in play, and you stay out of the double play. Posada comes up and throws him out at first, but he moves the runners over to second and third. You see, with everyone back, all he has to do is get it in play. No one is charging the mound or charging in, and he's out at first, but he accomplishes what Lou Piniella wanted it to in the first place.
So now they could tie the game without benefit of a hit. A hit could give them the lead back. The bat goes one way, the ball the other. It's picked up by Brocious, who throws him out, and the runners have to hold.
That's the only place that he could have hit it other than back to the pitcher where the run couldn't score. If he grounded to short, second, or first, they would have been able to score. But this is the second bat that he has shattered of Ricky Henderson's. And because David Bell doesn't have a lot of speed, he didn't try to score. Normally with runners in second and third like that, you go on contact.
That cutter in on Henderson. This is the first inning when he shattered the bat, so Ricky's using up a lot of lumber here in Game 3. Here's Cameron, who had an infield hit and scored in the first. Headed from the stretch. Cameron looking to bunt, takes a strike.
I'm still surprised that they didn't send Bell from third base with 1 out. Normally with runners at second and third, you go on contact. because you still have a runner in scoring position. But Bell may have been fooled by the bat, because the broken bat went towards the left side of the infield.
Even with the contact play on, I think Brocious would have had a pretty good chance for a play at the plate.
And that's okay. You force him to make a play.
1-1. Rodriguez is on deck, so even though first base is open, you know that Pettit wants to make it happen right here against Cameron. Cuts and misses, 1-2.
Take a look at this pitch. It looks like a little sinker from Pettit, but could be a cutter. That's a cutter. But he got it down.
Bell away from third. Oliver will lead at second. 2 on, 2 out, and the 1-2 pitch. Misses. Joe Torre has constantly shown faith in Andy Pettit. It was Torre, really, who interceded a year ago and said, no, don't deal him. Let's stick with him. Pettit was having a horrible time there. Righted himself and pitched well for the Yankees in the World Series last year.
And he and Posada having trouble deciding exactly where this pitch should be or what it should be. He shook him off twice. Now they're going to start all over again.
And the 2-2. Hit towards short. Jeter plays it cleanly. Pettit has allowed 5 hits, but only 1 run through 2 innings. And it remains 2-1 New York. Here's the last out in the bottom of the second. The Cameron ground ball. Watch the reaction by Pettit. And some of the sounds of the dugout.
There you go. That's it. What a battle.
Lee Mazzilli, the Yankees' first base coach, with Don Zimmer and Joe Torre. Now Mazzilli back on the lines at first. Willie Randolph is the Yankees' coach at third as Brocious takes strike 1, starting the top of the third. And he lines one to left that drops for a hit.
Well, Seeley got him started with a fastball away, which was a good pitch. This is a curveball, but he kind of hangs it, and Brocious is able to get enough of it to get it to the outfield. Watch where the pitch is. So it starts way up, and it kind of stays there. But Brocious goes out and hits it to left field.
Which brings up Knobloch, who was called out on strikes on a 3-2 pitch to start the game. He looked like he had an idea about dropping one down. Instead, he takes a strike. Now Block peering at Randolph. There are at the moment 6 managerial openings in the major leagues, and talk about premier managers like Piniella here in Seattle, Dusty Baker in San Francisco, Bobby Valentine with the Mets, whose contracts are up, the possibility of them moving on. Now Block doesn't offer, so again, Willie Randolph's name, Chris Chambliss, among others, will be mentioned in connection with some of those openings. This was the first time since 1942, there's Chambliss, the Yankee hitting coach, when there wasn't a single in-season managerial change in the major leagues. But once the regular season ended, they started dropping like flies. Bunted foul, 1-2.
Well, the fans want him out, but he was still in the batter's box when the ball hit him. As long as you're in the batter's box, it's a foul ball. See, he's still in the batter's box right there. And you'll be able to see that he actually doesn't move anywhere before the ball hits him. Foul ball. And I think that's a good, smart play there, just to try to put a runner over in the scoring position.
Nobody out in the top of the third. There have already been 9 hits in this game. 2 of them homers. A little piece of it. Oliver couldn't hold it. Just to finish up the earlier thought, there are now managerial openings in Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Cincinnati, Los Angeles, the Dodgers, and Arizona. And Toronto. I left Toronto off the list. That's the 6th one. A high fly ball to right. Buhner has it lined up. And that's the first out. That brings up Derek Jeter, who is the subject of the SAP player profile. Not a bad profile at that, huh?
Not bad. 3 world titles. That's the most important thing there. 3 world titles at age 26. And the 100 runs scored each of those 5 years helped him to get those titles.
We hear that a while back, Jeter packaged up one of his world championship rings. As he bounces one to the man in question, Rodriguez. There's one on the first. He beat it. So Jeter packaged up one of those rings and FedExed it to Rodriguez just to chide his buddy a little bit. I've got 3 of these. I can actually spare one. Want to look at it for a while? Give it back to me next time I see you. Here he grounds it to Rodriguez.
Well, Rodriguez is pretty deep, and that's what takes a long time to get this double play turn. Rodriguez very deep on the play. Normally you shorten up a little bit so you get the ball a little quicker, but he was a little deeper than normal. So that's a long throw. It's hard to double a speedy runner with 2 long throws, and that's what happened there. The throws were both long, and Jeter is able to beat the play at first base.
So here's Justice, who grounded into a 3-6-3 double play to end the first. Ball 1 high.
The pattern they've tried to use with Justice is throw him some change-ups. He handles most pitches well, but the change-up does bother him a lot because he'll get out in front. He thinks it's a fastball, and he tries to be quick on it.
Jeter back. Might not be a bad time to try to swipe one with 2 outs. If you're unsuccessful, you have the heart of the order in the next inning, 3, 4, 5.
Well, 2 things. You also send a message to Seeley that you're going to run, and that makes the catcher a little nervous, and he'll call a few more fastballs.
In for a strike, 1-1. You may hear the whistle from the train periodically in the background. The Burlington Northern line goes right by the ballpark many times over the course of 9 innings. The 1-1 from Seeley to Justice. 2 balls and a strike.
And you see Seeley is given a semi-slide step, not a complete slide step, but he's shortening his stride. Watch, he's not picking his leg up very high. See, that's more of a slide step, but it's not the slide step. Slide step, you just look like you're playing catch. A la Jim Cott, he used to do that. He just step and throw.
I can hardly think of anyone who had a more compact motion than Cott, put little strain on the arm. Part of the reason why he was able to last as long as he did. Justice goes to left center field. It's going to split the gap. Jeter's going to be able to make it around. Randolph waving him home. Olerud lets it come through, but Jeter scores standing up. And Justice with an RBI double to make it 3-1 New York.
And the fact that they did not turn the double play gave Justice a chance to hit here in the 3rd inning. Fastball away, and Justice goes the other way with it. And this is a big ballpark, so when the ball does split the outfielders, you're going to be able to score from first. And we see Jeter. And he scores easily.
So now Seeley peers at Bernie Williams, who rode a 3-0 pitch out of here in the second. First pitch swinging this time. It's McLemore from the outfield grass to end the inning. The Justice double makes it 3-1 New York. Yankee first base coach Lee Mazzilli is mic'd. Listen.
Come on, G, you gotta score! You gotta score! Come on, now let's go! Come on! Here you go, G!
Of course, it's highly unlikely that Jeter heard a bit of that, but each team has 5 hits. All of Seattle's are singles. The Yankees have the solo homers by Williams and Martinez and the RBI double from Justice. So the 3, 4, and 5 hitters for New York each have an RBI, each with an extra base hit. The 1-0 pitch from Pettit to Rodriguez is on the inside corner.
And that's the pitch that makes him so effective. It just catches the inside corners. It's very difficult to handle that pitch without pulling it foul. And if you don't pull it foul, you get jammed.
Here's the 2-1. Fastball on the inside edge, 2-2. We told you about the Mariners hitting so much better on the road than in their home ballpark. No one's stats are more extreme than Rodriguez's. He hit .272 at home and .356 on the road. 28 of his 41 regular season homers away from home. And now he sits down.
Excellent pitching there by Andy Pettit. 2 on the inside corner and then 1 on the outside corner. Well, he had thrown 2 on the inside corner for called strikes. You see Pettit goes right on the outside corner. That's great pitching right there.
Pettit's first strikeout. And now Martinez, who had an RBI hit in the first. Ball strike 1. The 2-time batting champion is a .320 lifetime hitter and hit just about that, .324 this season. Fastball taken for strike 2. This is Edgar's 12th season with Seattle. Only Cal Ripken Jr., Tony Gwynn, and Barry Larkin have been with their original teams longer than that. And of course, the status of Ripken and Gwynn for next year in Baltimore and San Diego at present up in the air. The 0-2 pitch. Again, he hits it right on the nose. This guy hardly ever has a bad swing.
He's just such a good hitter because that was another good pitch by Andy Pettit. He threw him a curveball and starting off with a strike. He threw a fastball inside corner. And here's that cut fastball. I guess if you're going to say one thing, it didn't get it in far enough, and it was down a little bit. I think the cut fastball is still much easier from the right side to hit if it's down. But he still made a good pitch. He's just a good hitter.
Now Buhner. Pettit gets the corner. Interesting thing here as we watch Pettit work early in the game. He's given up 6 hits, all of them singles. At the same time, he's made a number of very good pitches.
He actually seems to be throwing the ball better this inning than he was the first couple of innings.
In his last 2 outings combined, he's worked 6 innings and allowed 16 hits. 6 of them in 2 1/3 here. Buhner fouls it off. Folks, MSNBCSports.com has comprehensive coverage of baseball's postseason. Log on after every game to view post-game press conferences and listen into audio interviews with key players looking ahead to the next game. Plus, check out special interactives and features on each team. All at MSNBCSports.com, the official website of NBC Sports.
Jay Buhner's a guy that you cannot make mistakes on. You can't leave the breaking ball out over the plate or give him the fastball over the plate.
He hit 26 homers this year. He tried to get him to chase one, and he wouldn't. 2-2. Those 26 homers came in fewer than 400 at-bats. He needs periodic rest at this stage of his career, so his ratio was excellent. Martinez at first, not a threat to run. They got him leaning and picked him off.
That's amazing. I mean, Edgar's not going anyplace. You know he's not going to steal a base. And for Pettit to be able to pick him off, I mean, he's not going anyplace. There's no reason for him to be taking that big a lead or to be leaning the wrong way. He's not going to run. And again, Pettit picks him off, and that's borderline balk, but he always gets away with it.
Full count. Here's Pettit's reaction. Got a little more breathing room now with Martinez erased. And he strikes Buhner out to end the Seattle third. 2 strikeouts and a pickoff in the inning for Pettit. And we're back after these messages and a word from your local station.